Hi there. I'm going to share with you an insane, crazy leak I heard about House of the Dragon Season 2. Which probably isn't true. There isn't enough evidence. This is probably bullshit. But by starting this video saying, well, this is bullshit, but I'm going to report it anyway, I wash my hands of any responsibility for choosing to disseminate it in the first place. And on top of that, maybe I'm flat out lying for clickbait, or maybe I'm screwing with you as a prank because I'm posting this on April Fool's Day. Then again, maybe I'm using April Fool's Day as a double-blind cover for giving you what's actually a rather big spoiler. You won't know until Season 2 comes out. But story here is that back when we were getting leaks about filming on Season 1, which I reported at the time, and some of these turned out to be accurate, things such as they're going to say Aegon the Conqueror had a prophetic dream about the White Walkers returning. We heard a few rumors that were going around on set about what they intended for Season 2 at the time. So I have known of these leaks and rumors for a full year. And on top of everything else, not only are these rumors that were circulating among the filming crew about something they could do in the future, they're a year out of date. And plans change. Maybe their intentions for Season 2 have been revised since then. That is a strong possibility. And I could even be making up that this is a rumor going around during Season 1. But the rumor was, among the crew, when they were packing up all the Harrenhal stuff, there was a rumor that at the time they intended for Season 2 to have reasonably substantial flashbacks to King Jaehaerys and his children. Jaehaerys is that old king you see at the beginning of the prologue, Viserys' grandfather. And the prologue only briefly explains that, well, he had two sons who predeceased him. The older son's child was Rhaenys, Viserys and Daemon, they're from the younger son. They didn't really go into it in too much detail. But the story is that the older son, Aemon, Rhaenys' father, he died in a random skirmish with pirates. And then actually at the end of episode 4, Viserys does briefly explain his father, Balon, later after that died of a random burst appendix. You know, sometimes people just die of a burst appendix, which spurred the succession crisis. And there's a whole story, there's a full chapter in Fire and Blood about this. The one before what ultimately became Season 1 in this. Now, we later learned, a few months ago, but after Season 1, that George R.R. Martin himself actually was pushing to have Season 1 begin with the story of Aemon and Balon, called The Heir and the Spare, that you would see that there are these two brothers, the older one's the responsible one, the younger one, Balon's a bit wilder, but they like each other. You'd see them doing all sorts of stuff, fighting the Dornish and things, and then they'd randomly die, and not just it would start with a lot more at the Great Council. No, we'd even see stuff before the Great Council. We'd see Jaehaerys' sons and like 2 or 3 episodes worth of material. And HBO sat down with George and said, George, we can't do that. It would be another major time skip. We'd have like 2 or 3 episodes on people who aren't even the major characters, but Rhaenys and Daemon's parents, with younger versions of them. You can't do that. And eventually they argued him down, not least of which because there wasn't physically enough screen time to do it. But that was something George was really pushing for behind the scenes, that he wanted to show the story of Jaehaerys and his children, maybe even, like Viserys and Daemon talking with Jaehaerys, good Queen Alysanne, his queen, actually see and set up Jaehaerys with his dragon Vermithor and Alysanne with Silverwing to establish where these dragons came from, or the Old King's dragons. So apparently this was like crew that were packing up the Harrenhal costumes. They didn't build Harrenhal, it was a virtual set. But from people who were working on the Great Council cameo, basically, we got in the prologue, word came around, and this is a rumor second to third hand coming to me, if indeed it came at all, that the way they were able to placate George R.R. Martin to stop pushing for this, because he was really pushing for, no, it needs to begin with the story of Aemon and Balon, is that they said, look, George, can we push it to flashbacks in Season 2? and he grudgingly accepted. And you think that's a wager you want to make, because if season 1 fails, HBO wouldn't have to do it in season 2 if they don't get a renewal. And if season 1 is a mega hit, promising George you'd give him flashbacks in season 2 if the first season is a mega hit is a problem you want to have. So this may have changed over time, but when they were filming season 1, the idea was to show more of the Jaehaerys and his children's stuff. Maybe even show like younger Daemon, younger Rhaenys explaining what happened more clearly. They intended to do that in season 2 with flashbacks. I can't confirm this whatsoever, though we should be on the lookout for if we get like casting sheets for this stuff. If some of the actors might come back. I'm not really sure, and again, I could be making this up, or I could be claiming I'm making it up on April Fool's Day, rather than risking HBO's wrath. How would you know?